Thank you, 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 and thank you. And this video is not brought to you by the New York Rangers. I'm just a fan. So anyway, excuse me, someone, please take. Thank you. All right, let's get started. Okay, so today I'm doing these cartoons that were based on games from 1980s, okay? So the first one we're going to work on is 1982, which would be Pac-Man, the animated series. Okay. I don't know why I sounded so excited about doing it, but I did. Didn't mean to. Anyway, let me get back to what I was talking about. Okay, so Pac-Man, the animated series, was pretty much Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, Baby Pac-Man, and Chum Chum the dog. I think they had a cat too, but I have no idea what the heck the cat's name was, to be honest with you. Of course, you know, Pac-Man, the animated series, did have the 4 ghosts. It had Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and then there was Clyde. Right, Clyde. Anyway, in the cartoon, there was a mastermind, a main villain. Mesmenor, I think was his name. Mesmenor, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Mesmenor, honestly, he was kind of like a cross between Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon and Vincent Price's Egghead from the Batman, not animated series, but the Batman 1960 series, okay? Now, Pac-Man, honestly, when I remember hearing his voice, he sounded like he was a mixture of Ralph Cramden and Ed Norton from The Honeymooners. That's what Pac-Man pretty much sounded like. And of course, in the animated series, he was bothered by the ghosts. And whenever the ghosts were there, he of course would eat one of his pellets. And when he ate the pellets, the ghosts would turn purple and he would eat them. I don't know how you make a cartoon based on that, but they did. It's actually quite scary. Okay, so the next one we're going to work on is 1983, of course, because that's the following year, was 1983. Now, in 1983, you had 2 that came out, and the first one I'm going to work on is Rubik's The Amazing Cube. Okay, let's take a look at Rubik's The Amazing Cube first. All right. First off, I called him Rubik's the annoying ass cube. I mean, look at him. His body, pretty much a cube. His feet match the pattern of the cube. And look at his head. His head looks like a gargoyle. Now, how could this hideous looking creature right here, who had the face of a gargoyle, but had the voice of Bobby from Bobby's World, or Scooter from Muppet Babies? This was his voice! Does it make sense? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense at all. But that's how he spoke. But anyway, Rubik's the Annoying Ass Cube was pretty much a piece of a show. And it's pretty, what it was about, okay, so the show was about these 3 Hispanic kids that, of course, found Rubik's in the middle of the woods. Rubik somehow, he fell out of a wagon. He fell out of a wagon. He fell out of a medieval times wagon. What the hell is a medieval times wagon doing in 1983 is beyond me. I don't know. But the 3 Hispanic kids, or the 3 protagonists, we'll call them, was Carlos, Lisa, and Reynaldo. Now, Carlos, of course, he's the one who put Rubik's together, and, you know, all of a sudden they became his foster parents and they took him in. The show was awful. Rubik's apparently is more powerful than the Tesseract, because in one particular episode, a boulder was about to fall down on an orphanage. And Rubik's turned the girl into a superhero that she was emulating on the goddamn TV that she was watching right there. And she went over there and stopped the boulder from falling on an orphanage! Mind you, the show lasted 3 months, okay? In my opinion, it should have actually ended a lot sooner. But who am I to judge? Hey, the only thing I can say, there's one good thing I can say about the show, is that the show did last longer than Jeffrey Epstein's 2nd term in prison. All right, so the second one in 1983 is Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons, based on the game that many young kids in the early 80s played. They would hang out in mom's basement and play this game till all hours of the night. And here they made a cartoon based on this game. Now, the cartoon, you had 6 heroes. 6 heroes. 5 teens, 1 toddler. Now, the kids went to a carnival, right? This is what happened. They went to a carnival. And when they went to the carnival, they went to the Dungeons and Dragons ride. Yeah, there was a ride called Dungeons and Dragons. And when they went to the Dungeons and Dragons ride, the ride just kind of fell apart. They went into a portal. They entered into another dimension. And when they got to the other dimension, they became one. Each one of them became a character, I guess, from the Dungeons and Dragons game. First, you had the Dungeon Master who met them there. Okay? Now, the 6 heroes you had Eric, the Cavalier, the Knight. You had Hank, or who I like to call Legolas. You had Diana, the Acrobat. Okay, I'm bringing these 3 up first because why? They're 15 years old. Then you have Sheila. Sheila was the thief. 13 years old. Then you had Presto. Presto, if you guys watched the show, was pretty much a Pidge ripoff from Voltron. I think his show was put in there for comic relief. He was pretty much like Orko, you know. He was supposed to be a wizard and couldn't cast a spell to save his life. And then you had Bobby. Okay, as I mentioned before, 1 toddler. Bobby was an 8-year-old boy. Bobby, if I'm mistaken, was the brother of Sheila. Bobby was a barbarian. He walked around looking like a Viking and had a club. He had a club. Seriously, he had the club. Who the hell is he going to beat the hell out of? Gumby? He's 8 years old! Now, one more thing that I have to say about this show before I moved on, and this is kind of a compliment, is that the main villain in the show was Venger. Venger was voiced by none other than Optimus Prime. That's probably one of the only things that I could actually compliment the show about. Word up. But before I get to the next one, seriously, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a breather. So, we'll be right back after this quick drum solo. So the next one that I have here, and I hope you all appreciated the drum solo. I don't know. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. You played marvelously. Not really. Okay, so let's start with the next one. The next one is 1986's Laser Tag Academy. Laser Tag Academy, based on the actual... It's not even a video game. It's not even a board game. It was just stuff we used to buy back in the day. We put on a vest. We had some guns. We would shoot at each other. If we hit the direct shot in the chest, it would go off and beep. That was pretty much laser tag, which laser tag is still around nowadays, and people are still playing it. God bless you. God bless you. But there was this piece of donkey cartoon that came out in 1986 known as Laser Tag. Now Laser Tag Academy, if I'm not mistaken, it started off in 2986. Yes, 2986. And the person, or the, I don't know, I want to say the main character from that was Beth, I think, from 2986. So she had to go back in time to 1986 for her ancestor, her one ancestor who is going to invent the laser tag equipment, or however the heck it is, and she had to stop this villain named Draxon, who went back in time to kill her! It sounds like Terminator, because it is Terminator. I'm done. I'm done. These repetitive storylines, I'm done. Stick a fork in me. Okay, the next one that we're going to do is going to be, actually it's the last one we're going to do, but because it was pretty much 2 cartoons. You had the one cartoon that was on Monday through Thursday, and then the other god-awful cartoon that was on Friday. And we're talking about none other than the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's again.
So the next one we're going to do is 1989 Super Mario Brothers Super Show. There was nothing super about it, but they also had on Fridays, yes, oh yeah, I should have brought this up. Yeah, Monday through Thursday was in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Friday was the piece of Zelda show. Of course, in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, the opening theme was a rap song that did sound like your typical 80s rap song that seemed to have been inspired by the Fat Boys. Yeah, that was it. So the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was on Monday through Thursday, and of course you had your typical adventures with the Mario Brothers and Peach and Toad and dealing with Bowser and the Koopas and the Goombas, which me being Italian, I kind of find that offensive. You know, you're calling the mushroom a Goomba. I'm still trying to work my way through it. I really am. All this racism in the world! Now, on Friday, you had The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda cartoon was awful. By all means, there was nothing good about it at all. First off, they used the teenage Zelda from Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link. Okay, I really liked the Zelda 2 Adventure of Link game. It was good, not as good as the first one. It was much more challenging. I wasn't a big fan of the overhead screen view that you had in the game. But whatever, you know, it is what it is. To be honest with you, Zelda 2 kind of reminded me of the old Dragon Warrior game from the 80s, if anybody remembers the Dragon Warrior. I think nowadays they call it Dragon's Quest or something. But they took the arrogant teenage Zelda, Link, I'm sorry, and put him in the cartoon, and it was just awful. Awful, 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 awful.
6.5 hours later.
Awful, 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 awful. It was awful. By the way, just in case I didn't mention, yeah, that Zelda cartoon was awful. And I really don't have that much to talk about it. I'm not going to. I'll just say this. Thank God I fell in love with the games first before that cartoon came out. Because if that cartoon came out, I might have never played the games. And I might not have fallen in love with Zelda. So that's it for me right now. I will be back eventually. And I will talk more trash, hopefully. And, you know, maybe I'll bring up a few things about the 80s. Maybe I'll bring up a few things about now. Maybe I'll just bring up a few things in general. But that's just how I roll. Just how I roll. So once again, word up and keep it real.
Thank you for watching Poppy's Point of View Review. If you enjoyed this episode of Poppy's Point of View Review, please like and subscribe and click on the playlist that you can see right now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.